Earth Debate live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a Ko-fi, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now, we are joined by Neil, Adam, and a whole bunch of people in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server. So, welcome one and all.
Morning.
Good morning. We do actually have a video to cover today. So Adam Meekins shared a video from Iron Realm, which is his old haunt. So it's a bit weird that he shared a video about that specific channel, but we'll see what it is after we do a few housekeeping questions, just to keep our hand in. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Negative.
What about P waves and S waves? I do remember some of yesterday.
Waving from what?
Guy came in and claimed seismology proved a spherical Earth, until we pointed out that you need a horizontal plane of reference for seismology.
Yeah, that was later. That was the brother man.
Right. What about any evidence of the R value, Earth radius? As that was what was being claimed with P waves and S waves.
That's the proof right there.
What, P waves and S waves? Oh, you're reiterating the circular reasoning used by the same dude. No, it's a different dude. Good show yesterday. Check out yesterday's show. 2284, I believe the number was. Unless that's today's show's number. Is it today's show number? No, 2285 today. Yeah, 2284. Go and check it out. We went into politics unannounced. And those can be hit and miss. Sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's not. But yesterday was particularly good. In the respect that we got a lot done. We talked to a lot of fundies. There was a lot of muting and over-talking from the fundies that didn't like their corrections coming their way. But generally speaking, a lot of people find that sort of thing entertaining. Not me. I find it tedious.
No, you were entertaining doing the Rastafari, doing that accent back in. It was almost as good as the time with Akumu virus.
He's not. Akumu virus doesn't have a Rastafarian accent.
No, but you had that. Why are you trying to make proof flat Earth? That whole routine. The Jamaican accent is almost as good.
I'm not a terrible mimic. I can do it right. I'd have never made a stage performer doing it. Anyway, please share the show if you haven't done so already. We'll go through a couple more housekeeping questions and we'll move on to the Iron Realm video about gravity. Speaking of which, any scientific evidence of gravity?
What gravity? It's just a word.
It's not my claim. I don't have to answer this, Neil. What about any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Negative, but you do have a lot of naturally observed phenomenon.
Well, yeah, that's fine. As long as they formulate it into a hypothesis and then actualise said hypothesis with an experiment to validate the cause of their effect that they observed. They may have numerous effects, that's wonderful. But have they got any scientific evidence that would be validated?
No, because you won't be able to put it through the experimentation. How would you do that? How would you vary and manipulate a star or the sun or the moon?
Not my problem, not my claim. I'm not claiming to be able to science the stars, am I? I mean, they do. or they did here before we pointed out that they need scientific evidence to adhere to the scientific method as a standard, and they haven't got that. Then they stopped suggesting that they got science for their claims. It's quite some time ago now. It's probably more like 5 years ago.
Yeah, it used to be the whole body of science.
In fact, it's more than that, isn't it? At the end of yesterday's show, while we were doing the outro, if you will, on the tail end of yesterday's after show, QE started playing a show from a long time ago, right? About 7 or 8 years ago. And even then, after QE asked for comment, so he played it through and then was like, what's anybody got to say about that? Which was us 7 or 8 years ago. And my comment to QE was, check out the level of consistency in terms of what we're doing. So the only thing that slipped by, if refracted curvature was here, I'd decorate him for this because it's him that drew this to my attention in recent times. But the utilisation of a horizontal plane of reference to describe a geometric spheroid horizon below surface level was literally asserted in almost those exact words, almost verbatim, by Zanuck. Yeah? Now, it slipped me and everyone else by at the time, 7 or 8 years ago. But with that exception, with only that exception, everything else was as it was and as it would be today in discussion. A slight caveat being I was a lot more tolerant and patient 7 years ago than I am now. Confidence thing, probably. But other than that, it was completely in line with what we do today, wasn't it, Neil?
Yes, it was. And that was from the beginning. We walked right by it like we were blind until our eyes were open to it. Then we realized, hold on a second. Let's backtrack here. You're not going to be giving us a flat Earth. You have to, because Earth is flat.
Yeah. Over the years, you tend to find that a theme develops throughout the year as it rattles on. And we've named a lot of those years based on the things that we've discussed or been detailing within the period of time, right? Well, this year we're like back to basics. We're talking about science and the scientific method because lots of people have been duped with the final experiment. But the sentiment from yesterday, that really has resonated with me. I know it wasn't me that was putting it out there, but for whatever reason, that came out of me yesterday. Don't use our stuff. Stop asserting that you're going to measure a flat Earth and then use that measurement to assert you're on a ball. Right? It's not going to be tolerated anymore. And I think that's going to be more of the theme of this year than back to basics. That will be the overarching theme that I'll intend to deliver. But upon discussing the subject of nature of Earth with anybody else from this point forth, the second they start utilising flat plane measurements, I'm going to stop them and get annoyed with them. Because it's stereotype fallacy coming. Generally the case that they'll ridicule and mock us as flat earthers and then go on to use our flat earth measurements. So given that they will typically mock us for being idiotic, the moment they use our measurements, they're going to get both barrels, as much fury as I can possibly muster. Because for 10 years we've been called stupid for knowing Earth is flat, and yet they call us stupid but use a flat earth measurement to justify their globe belief. Not anymore. Stop using our stuff. Stop using flat earth measurements to claim your ball.
Dude, it's like going out, jump in your car to go to the store to buy some whatever you need, and somebody's got your car. Right?
Yeah.
They can't use our stuff. And you know what? Even if they ask, they're not allowed to use any of our stuff.
Yeah, I'm not saying ask first before you use our stuff. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying don't use our stuff. And if you do, you'll get it in the neck. You want to believe you're on a ball, that's your business. And I'm all for tolerance and acceptance and allowing people to have their beliefs. More power to you, believe you're on a ball. The second you start measuring a flat Earth, though, no, that's got nothing to do with your ball belief anymore. You believe the surface is curving. Now, I know that the origin of the measurements that gave you that idea to reify came from the flat Earth measurements. I don't care. You actually think they're real. You're not just utilising them to better predict where the stars will be. That's not your purpose. You actually think the surface is curving. Therefore, that supersedes, by reification, any actual measurement that you can appeal to. when you believe the surface is actually curving. Like us, if you were to disclaim, well, Copernicus's model, utilising flat Earth angles and putting the world in motion at the centre, with you in hell moving around the sun by mathematical description, can have its practical uses. It doesn't mean we're standing on a spherical surface. That's absurd. But the moment you tell me we are, then you don't get to use those flat Earth measurements. Not at all.
I was just going to say, you did so good by using the word idea instead of model.
Yeah, Neil's a regular, so you can tell when I'm hesitating because the word model's on the tip of my tongue and I stop myself and then find a different word mentally for a second. Probably only half a second. It's half a beat I miss and Neil's picked up on it. In that timbre, or tone, or whatever, rhythm, that's the one. There was half a beat missing when I paused to find a different word. Very perceptive, Neil.
But then you went on to say Copernicus's model. I guess if you're what's the word I'm looking for?
No, I can get away with that because that's how it's labelled.
Okay, yeah, that's what I mean. If you're using it because of him, that's fine. But we're not using it.
No. But then again, if Skewy was here, it'd be like, no, you shouldn't use that standard. In the same way as you wouldn't call Michelson-Morley an experiment. And if someone came along and said, well, that's just the title of it.
You can't say Copernicus's idea. That would sound retarded.
Well, it is his idea.
You have to use a model.
No, it's just an idea, mathematical idea. Very out-of-the-box thinking when you study what it actually means to be heliocentric. You're describing your worldview from the centre of hell moving around the sun. Why? So you can have a flat plane to actually tally with the measurements of Earth, with the angles that you measured to create that system. But metaphorically, and reified by globe believers to the surface of a ball that doesn't exist, that's actually described from a plane within a ball that's been created mathematically. That you're not standing on, you're in the maths of Copernicus. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
The only way to measure that is from a flat plane.
Oh, yeah. What's the distance to the sun, then, if you can measure it off a flat plane?
I'm not sure what the distance would be, but I know that you'd have to be on a flat plane to measure to it.
We do measure to it, but we're not getting distance.
Yeah, altitude in celestial navigation is not a height at all, but an angle from level, which is flat.
Yeah. But any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Well, they have a said claim of 93 million miles, although that changes.
Well, you can slide that scale any way you like. It's currently being given a standard by Huygens, assuming that Venus has the same radial value as Earth, hence the term Earth's twin. Well, no, assuming it's got the same radius doesn't mean that you can scale everything with the Keplerian model, as Neil objects to me calling it. But yeah, that mathematics can be scaled at any value based on assumption, in this case Venus being the same size as Earth when assumed to be a sphere, when deriving said radial value to turn spherically from a circular radial value derived from minimum elevation angle measurements to Polaris, the latitude grid. Still flat Earth basis for the origin for Copernicus and Huygens.
What was the word they used of his assumption? It was a what type of assumption?
Ingenious.
Huh.
Ingenious assumption is how it's described. I don't actually have that article. It was always Anthony Riley that dug it out. 66 people watching. Please share the show if you've not done so already. We'll do a few more housekeeping questions. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curve?
No.
Black Swan.
The Black Swan changed the game. It really did.
Took away their numbers.
Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Axial from what?
Flat plane. That's how the axis would be described.
That's what I figured.
Okay, any evidence that you can acquire an elevation angle measurement as described in this picture on screen now from hell? From a curved baseline?
No, you cannot get an angle from a curve. It would not be an angle anymore.
Elevation is from level. It's in the word.
Any evidence that you can have pitch data on a globe?
Pitch from horizontal?
Yeah.
No, you'll use the horizontal as Earth.
Any evidence that you can have gas pressure, like we're all breathing, without a container to press upon?
No, it's in the definition. Pressure needs containment.
I think we actually covered all of the housekeeping questions, did we not?
We got them all, baby.
Right, so we have actually got a video to cover. So Adam hasn't responded in case he was sending this for an irony or for some other reason, but I have no idea why we're covering this, to be honest. So anybody got any idea why Adam would have sent this? Is gravity a force? Academia answers. Have a look. Silence at the moment.
People. Now, there is a couple other things that Stephen Moore had issues with. You wrote another article called What is Space-Time? And in it you say a year earlier, talking about Einstein, a year earlier he had formulated his general theory of relativity, which postulates that gravity is not a force that
Oh, it's this. This is George Musser.
propagates through space, but a feature of space-time itself. Again, I see that as the same misunderstanding as the snapping of the one thing.
What is happening in this is Craig is trying to mitigate for the fact that this man on the right, George Musser, editor of Scientific American, made it explicitly clear that gravity is not a force.
The fact that you've said postulates that gravity is not a force, and I think that confuses him. So could you just clarify that particular phrase for me?
So gravity is not a force. When one is trying to understand why gravity operates in the universe, why there is a tendency of objects to attract one another, to orbit around one another.
I mean, it's just disclaimed that it's not a force. So this nonsense waffle after the fact is kind of irrelevant. He's just said gravity is not a force. Then he paused. Could have been an edit from Craig. Who knows? Who cares?
Which is a type of, really comes from the attraction. Why bodies pull themselves together into spherical shapes.
Do they? When? Show me. Oh, you're just going to beg the question of gravitational accretion, superseded by the Einsteinian bent space-time that you're supposed to be justifying in the question.
For example, or discs type shapes in other systems.
No, they don't. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, I want to see this. You can't just say they pull together and make spherical objects in the sky, and all of a sudden there's soil. You got to have some evidence of that.
So why does that all happen? Then the idea of gravity as a force in the Newtonian sense of a kind of almost undefined entity that grabs things across space, that force concept becomes a problem.
Oh, fair enough. I spoke too soon. So he's shattering these illusions of force-based gravity with his disclaimers of what it is, but he's semi-accurately describing it in Newtonian context. I just didn't realise. It's been a while since I've watched this.
When you're trying to understand why gravity works, the fact that gravity does work, you know, it's obvious from everything around us. And
is that your standard? Gravity doesn't do any work. It's a mathematical convention invented by Einstein with a pseudo geometry to back it. So when you say work, what, like people digging holes and things, like physically working? No, gravity doesn't do any work at all.
When describing, maybe I should put it this way, when describing the workings of gravity, you shouldn't use force concepts. When you describe the...
In other words, it's not doing anything. It's got no force. So the workings, you mean like Weasley describing how mathematically it works? That's not physically happening because there's no force.
Effects of gravity, yes, use force concepts. You're perfectly entitled to speak of gravity as a force when you're working through its implications, when you're working through why things fall, why things move.
Like the clouds there, Musser. So when I'm looking at why the clouds fall, would I look at gravity as a force, would I? Oh no, it all falls to pieces immediately, doesn't it?
Move in the way they do.
Up, away from the ground, like a force pulling it to the ground? No, it's going away from the ground.
Okay.
It's only when you start to get into the deep questions, and those are the ones, of course, I was dealing with in that particular article. Another articles I'm perfectly happy to describe, and I do describe gravity as a force, as I do describe electrical forces or strong force or things like this. Even though, depending on context, I might not use the force terminology.
That actually answers it very well. It's again, it's the fact that you use the phrase which postulates that gravity is not a force that propagates through space-time. He focuses on the words there that gravity is not a force, and
he's talking about Anthony Riley, isn't he? When he says he,
kind of ignores the rest of the context. So
yeah, I think that's fair.
Having you.
Gravity is not a force, but you can think of it as a force. Maybe that's the best way of putting it.
Yeah,
There goes our quote.
Let's just say that again. Gravity is not a force, but you can think of it as a force. Oh, thanks, George. Yeah, thanks. You, George Musser, can think of the world as a roast chicken. You have my permission.
That's kind of what I've tried to explain to him, is that having you...
Seemed like a pretty severe edit.
Gravity is not a force, but you can think of it as a force. Maybe that's the best way of putting it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've tried to explain to him, is that having you...
Gravity is not a force, but you can think of it as a force. Maybe that's the best way of putting it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've tried to explain to him, is that having you...
Gravity is not a force, but you can think of it as a force. Maybe that's the best way of putting it.
Yeah, you can. I'll give you permission too, Craig. You can think of it as a force. It isn't one, but you can. You got our permission too. You can think of it as one. Bless you, little corn socks. I'll ruffle your head, send you on your way thinking about the world being a giant roast chicken. You can think of it as a roast chicken if you want to. Right, I think we're done. Well, wasn't that fun? A blast from the past from George Musser. Oh, lovely. Did we all enjoy that?
Yeah, he gave us that famous quote. I love it.
Yep.
So
you can think of it as a force in Newtonian, but when you get to Einsteinian, it's all mathematical.
Right, it's a pseudo-geometry in Einsteinian. Or I should say Einsteinian gravity is a pseudo-geometry.
So you're saying a sham geometry.
Yeah. That's why there's so much ambiguity. Now I understand why Adam put the comment underneath that he did. So we've been watching some videos from about 3 or 4 years ago where the participants of the video are describing their double-speak nonsense, irritating behaviour. And then at the end of the 1-minute section of video, they explain that they've been wankers for a couple of years, or they've been wankers for 3 years. And Adam dug out George Musser describing gravity not being a force, but you can think of it as a force, and then wrote underneath, wankers? Question mark. Now I know why. Very good.
The theory of gravity keeps falling down because it doesn't hold up.
Not a theory.
That meaning one of the chat, I thought that was pretty cool. The theory of gravity keeps falling down because it doesn't hold up.
But I was hoping to be showing a new microphone that I got on camera today, but unfortunately the postman's not been, and I've not got it, so I'm slightly heartbroken that I can't be doing that for today's show, because that was kind of what I'd got planned to do. So now that we've covered that very short video, we're half an hour into the show, just under, and I've run out of things to do now because I haven't got a mic to talk about. Well, 2 mics actually. I mean, I could still talk about Sawyers, I suppose. I did discuss this in the pre-show, but I'll mention it again for my live audience. So if you've been following along as a member, you might probably not that interesting to most of my audience, but for some there is a mild amount of interest in the audio reproduction of this show. And one of the things that I'd contacted a manufacturer about was a small diaphragm condenser mic that actually has a large diaphragm, as weird as that may sound, but quite expensive. So I've asked them if they'll loan me one. That is to say, if I can borrow it, try it, see if it actually serves my needs as well as I hoped it would, after looking into what I actually desire, and then finding something for several £100s and going, oh, bloody hell, that's a lot of money. About the same as I spent on the mic I've got now, and this one has served me for about the last 5 or 6 years. So it's been a very, very good mic in respect to how long it's lasted, and, that's good. But now I want to buy a different one. Now that the room's all treated, and it was previously very low on the priority lists, but now I do want to buy a more realistic mic that's not massive and smacking me in the face every time I stand up in the chair, and weird in terms of how it works because it's got a load of interference tube slits on it. So yeah, that's a mic that I'll also show in a couple of weeks when I do get in touch with the rep from Sawyers UK, or whoever their distributor is in the UK. Apparently they've had my information passed on to them, and they'll send me a box with a mic in it that I can have a fiddle with without having to necessarily pay for it, although I'll have to presumably give them a credit card to borrow it. But aside from that, I'll get to try a really expensive mic in comparison to a couple of mics I bought on eBay for maybe 50 quid. But very, very old. Both of them are about 15 to 20 years old, but very, very different. So I've been trying all sorts of different mics to figure out what I can best use in this space now that it's completely finished, and has been for quite some time actually. But yeah, I haven't got to be spending my Patreon money, which is typically what I'll do in this regard when it comes to spending money on the show. That's what I'll spend, where the revenue comes from at least. So if you are one of my patrons, you're familiar with me putting various boring stuff about mould in the house or dehumidifiers, if that's what I'm doing at the time, because as much as it's also a living space for 3 other people, 4 including me, the space is the same space. So if there is something going on like that, I'll still put it on my Patreon to let them know what's going on. But it's kind of a bit of a crossover with my family life in the respect that the same space is used for my family, but it does literally turn into a studio each day. So the family get kicked out of this particular space. The lights, the camera, the mics, the preamps, they all come out of storage, and it gets turned into a studio. The door gets shut, show begins. But it does mean that I've got a proper studio, so I can now, compared to the treatment of the room, spend a lot less money, relatively speaking. So compared to panels, bearing in mind there's about 100 panels in this room, and they range in price from maybe $5 or $10 all the way up to $500 per box. And there's, like I say, about 100 of them. And over the course of many, many years, I've treated this space so that, number one, I can hear what's being said, and number two, what I'm saying is as clear as possible for the audience. And along that road, I've also learned how to slightly alter, to a very limited degree, the sound of the participants in Discord and the participants in G+. So again, that they're at the very least a similar level to each other, so you're not suddenly blasted out by somebody. It might occasionally happen, but normally I address it pretty quickly. So yeah, it's just technical stuff about the show that's happening at the moment, because I'm actually looking to invest a bit more money into the show. Not that I've ever stopped investing money back into the show. It's pretty much all I ever spend money on, in fact. I don't think I ever, in the last 10 years, have spent any money on myself particularly, per se. It's always been on, reinvesting into making this a better show. So in regards to sound, it's not necessarily something that anybody's going to praise me for. It's normally subtle improvements that hardly anybody's going to notice except me. But overall, the incremental improvements over time, you'd notice if you went back to a really old show like Neil's done. You go back and listen to how it sounded back then and go, oh, wow, it does sound considerably more professional now. You're like, yeah, each little change I make isn't necessarily going to make an immediate obvious difference to everybody, but the little incremental changes, like everything in audio, add up, and each one is expensive and takes time. So yeah, there you go. There's my little update on microphones. I'll show you what I get when I get it. So if you're a Patreon, I might put it out in a Patreon video, or if you're a member, I might do a live stream or something like that. And I'll just show you what I've been fiddling around with, and albeit with very little money to do it with, I've managed to achieve an ability to try all sorts of different microphones in this space that are completely different. Like, not just different shapes of the mics themselves, but completely different polar patterns, completely different, what they call capsule sizes, diaphragm types, you name it. I've picked a very wide variety of different stuff to fiddle with to see which one will stay in here for the next 5 to 10 years, like the one that I've got now, this shotgun mic. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing to fiddle with, and hopefully it will make an improvement to me, which is all it's really about, making me sound better. So there we go. That's mics. I'll show you when they come, and show you when Sawyer's hopefully get in touch or tell you.
So Nathan, you say that where you do this show from, your house, your flat,
Yes.
that you turn into a studio and then break it down and turn it back into an apartment. How many grips do you got there working with you?
How many what?
Grips.
No grips.
Like you
Grips
do it
is-
all yourself, so you're the
Grips-
grip too. You do everything. You take
Grips
it
is-
down, set it up.
Grips is lighting.
Well, who's the guys that set up everything? What are they called?
Oh no, I suppose
the
there are
gap.
different types of grips. I'm thinking a key grip. Key grips are lighting. The key is lighting, isn't it? No, I don't have any grips. There's no runners. There's
You're
no
the
nothing.
only
There's
grip
me.
there, huh?
Just me. I just put it all out, right? A lot of it's on arms, so I've engineered a lot of the show to be capable of being swung out into position from a fixed position. So the mic and the camera are both on like a boom arm. One's a low profile arm, the other's like a scissor arm. Same with the monitor. So even the monitor gets put away. So I need a second monitor. So I power up the one, which is fixed because it's a projector, and the other one I pull out from the wall and swivel towards my position, and it blocks a certain amount of light from the camera and a certain amount of light spill from one of my studio lights that I also pull out. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. It takes me about 20 minutes to set up the show each day. But that's just setting up the room. But I tend to get about, I don't know, 1/3 of the way through to a skeleton, and then I'll do an intro. Because sometimes you'll miss people having an argument in one of the servers because you've failed to set up the show completely and failed to do an intro, and then you join and someone's having a full-on discussion like, oh no, I've got to do an intro, and it's like, no, I'll just get it to the bare bones of the show, do an intro, and then I'll carry on setting up the rest of it, you know, getting everything laid out how I want it and all the rest of it, the chat and things like that.
So it's not just pushing buttons. Okay, a grip is a technical crew member responsible for setting up and maintaining the equipment that supports cameras, including tripods, dollies, tracks, cranes, and jibs. Essentially, ensuring the camera can be positioned exactly as the director needs it. Well, you're the only director here, so yeah, that's pretty cool. You do all of that yourself. So there's a lot of work that's involved. It's not just pushing a button and showtime.
Yeah, we decided that Robert guy from yesterday was just a wanker, didn't we? Yeah,
Yes,
we're not going
but
to
there was
tolerate
two
wankers anymore on the
wankers.
show. Just in case anyone was wondering, why were you talking about Musser and saying wankers? Well, because we're sick of it, right? We're sick of wankers joining. So I haven't had a chance to speak to Righteous about banning this idiot. Keeps joining.
Yeah, well, there was two of them, Nathan. There was one that came on right before we left politics, and then there was the guy that came on our server, or Righteous server, the Jamaican guy.
Yeah, I'm just going to have
So-
him banned. I'm going to tell him now as well. I'll move him out one last time, but I'll tell him. Dude, you're going to be banned. Robert, I'm going to have you banned. You're a wanker. Get lost. Don't even want to hear your response. Get lost. Yeah, I don't want to suffer these idiots anymore. If you come in, rumpus the crap out of you for 10 attempts, and then when you finally get the actual point across to them unimpeded, they ignore it so much and then say, oh, well, now that we've measured the radius, you're like, oh, you disingenuous scumbag, never return. There's no point in having discussions with that person at all. Because what they're going to do, concede your point when you win. No, they'll leave a short pause and then reiterate their losing point after rumpusing the crap out of you 10 times, getting on your last nerve. Piss off. Never return to my show. If you want to come here and be a wanker, I'm just going to ban you from now on. I don't know if Sputs or maybe I've been doing this 10 years. Do you think I need you wankers? No, I don't. Get lost. Why is Righteous not around? Can somebody inform Righteous to ban Robert v. Utah permanently so he never returns and has to darken our door with his wanker behaviour ever again? Yeah? I don't know how to do it. I've never actually banned somebody, so I don't actually know how to do it.
All right, I know there's a mod in Discord. Ban the guy.
Is there a mod in Discord? I don't know if there is. Well, in any event, you can stay in here till I get in touch with Righteous. But I'm in complete agreement with Adam. Like, we don't suffer fools gladly anymore here. Right? Now, as far as I'm concerned, I've earned the right to do that. No, I don't want to suffer you. You're a wanker. You're never going to concede my point. All you're going to do is try and wind me up by talking through it. And when you hear it, you won't acknowledge it. You won't refute it or challenge it or debate it. You'll reassert your losing position. Yeah, that's not worthy of our time. It's like, get lost.
And trust me, their vocabulary is planned that way because they want to say, now that we've established gravity or now that we've established the radius, they're doing that for a reason. So why deal with them?
Yeah. If you're genuine and you're here to debate the subject, then fine. But after you've proven yourself a wanker, that's it. I've got one chance, no more. One. Oh, I was just pretending. I was just doing it because don't care. Yeah? Have some humility. Be humble. The amount of times I get caught out doing something wrong and I have to eat humble pie and disclaim to an audience of people how wrong I was and make it really painfully obvious that I've accepted it. That's the standards I have to be held to. Yet these arseholes come into the show and they will not be held to task on anything and will interrupt and descend the show into as much chaos as they can possibly cause, only to just reassert their globe faith at the end of the process. Like, these people have no value. That was the original person to be banned on that context or whatever standard was Rumpus. We do have a geometric horizon. Oh, well, we don't have a geometric horizon. It only exists in the maths. We do have a geometric horizon. At that point, get lost. You understand you're wrong and you'll concede you're wrong, but then you'll reiterate the point that's wrong in the affirmative. 2 minutes later. No, you just don't have our time. You don't get our ear. You don't get to talk to us. Go away. Deceive other people, not me. So yeah, let this be known. If you join the show and you turn out to be a wanker, we'll just ban you. Don't be a wanker and you won't get banned.
Yeah, a lot of them, what they're doing is that definition that you give, the sustainable by design. They're claiming that we're saying that there's a line, that we really think that there's a line. Obviously, we're talking about the Earth, right?
The plane of reference. All heights.
And what is
all
that, Nathan?
Earth.
That's it. End the story. Earth is flat.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. We're measuring Earth as a plane of reference. So deal with it. You don't have that if you're on a globe. You need it to be that way to measure Earth in any way, shape or form. You're going to describe how high or low a mountain is? You're going to describe it with respect to that plane of reference.
Exactly. We're not saying Earth is a line. That's not what we said.
Oh no, that's idiots that don't understand Earth as topology. That can be described with respect to the plane of reference and how high or low it is with respect to that plane of reference that Earth is. If it wasn't, you couldn't describe how high or low mountains and valleys were in feet and inches with respect to sea level as an average. For the whole world. Level. No, we understand that there's topology.
Yeah, and at the end of that, it says the observer is standing on. So, I mean, you're being disingenuous purposely. You know exactly what we're talking about. You know exactly what that definition says. You just don't want to accept it.
Does anyone know where Righteous actually is? He hasn't been around for ages, or at least a week. Are you a moderator in here, Mush?
Hey, just 1 second, Nathan.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. What do you need Righteous for? He's around, bro.
Well, he's just not here this second. I just don't know how to. I've never
What do you need
banned
him for? Maybe I
anybody.
can read.
I've never banned anybody from the server, and I don't know how to do it.
Oh, so that's what you, dude. I told you a million times you can ban anybody you want
I don't
from
know
your
how
show
to.
specifically.
I don't know how to. I looked on the
What do you
list,
mean?
and there isn't a button that says
Click.
ban.
Just click on their right with the right click on the mouse.
Yeah.
Click on their name. Go down to their roles, and you'll see all the roles are there. Just click show ban NO. That's the name of the tag.
I've got Globe Earth,
Show, ban,
Christian,
and
Bible, and Vacuum.
Oh, that's all you got? No,
Yeah,
you should have. You should have a power to ban anybody from your show. Who do you want banned right now?
The Robert guy.
Robert?
Oh, I do have it.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so private
Yeah, you do,
VC.
man.
I see. So, oh no, I've only got 4 roles. Yeah.
Only 4?
Yeah.
Okay, I can do it, man.
Thanks.
You should have it that you can ban anybody from your show. You and QE.
Yeah, I've never had
But
the
no
need
worries,
to.
man. Yeah,
I've always been able to appeal to one of the mods, and to be honest, I don't really want to be able to because I'd be doing it left, right, and centre. It's good that there's a buffer.
So this Robert, you don't want him here, right?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
guy's
I don't
proven
blame
to
you,
be a
man.
wanker,
I
so
don't
let's
blame
just get rid of him. I just don't.
Oh, yeah.
Why get you'll get a second chance and all that kind of crap. That's the last
No,
time we
he-
did that. It was with the Kumu virus. Do you remember?
Yeah, he's here too. He's done from the show. We know that.
Yeah.
But he came back to the server, but he's definitely not getting back on your show. No worries about that. But Robert is pretty new, so and yes, he had plenty of chances, and he doesn't deserve to be here, man.
Yeah,
Do
it's a
you
waste
want to
of
give
time.
him one more opportunity?
No, man. I mean, well, that Nathan's call, but whatever.
It's Adam's
Yeah,
call,
Regis is
actually.
here, by the way.
I'm not being usurped by Adam in any shape, but I'm just suggesting we do that based on what Adam and I had as a sentiment yesterday. After it was because of something very specific that he did. So we got to the point where, yeah, I can tolerate people rumpusing me. They don't like hearing it, and I accept that. I'm not just going to ban people because they're like, oh, I feel the need to talk through you because this is painful. No, that's part of the show. I get it. But at the point that you have actually heard what we've got to put to you, and we've fought tooth and nail to get you to listen to it, and you've heard it, and you haven't, for whatever reason, we've managed to get you under such control that you can actually keep your ears open long enough to hear the point that's being put to you. And in the face of that, your response is to just say, we've got the radius of Earth as a sphere. Because that's what he did. You're just like, no, get lost, never come back, you're a wanker.
Yes, I agree. He's insufferable, and yeah, he's
Well,
You
I
got it,
was
man.
just saying
Righteous is
that
here, by the
because
way.
he is. Sorry, Mush. I was just saying that because he is new. We've only heard him a couple of times. If we could give him one more opportunity,
It's
And
not
then
worth it,
ban him?
Neil. It's not worth
I
it,
agree,
Neil.
it's
I've
not
heard
worth
it
it.
plenty of times.
I'm
It's
saying
not
give
worth
them
it, trust me.
one chance. And as soon as they show themselves to be a wanker, get lost is my attitude. No, I don't want to suffer fools gladly. You're asking me to do exactly that, Neil.
no. I'm just saying because I never seen him before. He just came in the other day. But that's
Well,
fine.
I'm telling
I
you,
follow
Neil.
along with you.
I'm telling you, Neil. It's nothing's gonna change. Nothing's gonna change, man.
Oh, you
it's
spoke
cool.
to him
He's done it.
before. Okay, I got you.
Many times. Not just myself, but many people.
But we can stereotype that
the-
type, can't we, Mush? He's that type, isn't he?
He is that type, yeah. Acum virus type, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just here because he wants to troll, he's having fun. It doesn't matter if he concedes, loses, wins. So long as he gets us irritated, it's great amusement for him. Get
Exactly,
lost is my
exactly.
attitude. Get lost. You're not here to debate the subject. You're here to wind us up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just want to hear the Butterman accent one more time.
No.
Yeah, and by the way, Righteous is here, so I don't know if Righteous wants to hear the whole thing all over again, but we already spoke about it, and yeah, he's not going to be on the show anymore. He's gone.
It's because for the audience's benefit, right? This is not my server. I have limited control over it. I have a say, and people value my opinion here. But it's not mine. I have no involvement in running the server. It is entirely, almost entirely, obviously there's mods, down to Righteous, who's here now. And I'm suggesting, or we have already, ban somebody as a statement, Righteous.
Hello, Nathan. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
It's not complicated. If Nathan wants somebody off the show, we can just give him the show, Nathan Oakley show ban, and it's really that simple.
Perfect. That's it. That's perfect. Because it's not banning them from the server, it's banning them from this show, which is what I would hope that could be done, and that is the case. Great. That's even better. But yeah, basically, what's the word? It's an exact. That's the word. With utilising that guy as an example, that Robert guy. He's unfortunate for him. No, you've fell in the unfortunate position of having the standard set with you. No, we're not going to suffer this intolerable behaviour anymore where you just come to take the piss and you don't listen. And in the face of anything being put to you, you'll turn around and reassert your nonsense waffle by begging the question fallacy in the face of a 15th attempt to put something to you. No acknowledgement, no rebuttal, no discussion, no debate, just a reassertion of the garbage that was asserted initially. So those people aren't worth our time. And therefore this Robert guy was the last guy to do it. So therefore he's been show banned. And if you're going to behave like that, Adam's sentiment yesterday was, no, we shouldn't tolerate these wankers. So just ban them immediately. Why deal with them? And if people go, oh, you're a bit harsh, all I did was behave like a total wanker once. Yeah, that's all you get.
If you remember, he came over, opened his mic and said he just got banned from 24/7 politics. And now we know why he got banned from 24/7 politics. So you're going to come here and act the same way? You're going to get banned everywhere.
Yeah, wind-up merchants that aren't interested in expanding their knowledge of the surface of Earth, which is what we discuss here. They're interested in reasserting their garbage about it being a sphere in the face of anything that they hear. Hopefully, that can cause a lot of interruption while it's trying to be attempted to appeal to them. It's like, why are we giving this to them? Why are we throwing our pearls to swine?
Good morning, guys.
Hello, chocolate. So, very exciting tomorrow. I know there's a lot of you that have been bated breath waiting for me to show you these new microphones, but unfortunately that will have to wait till tomorrow. I know there's a lot of disappointment. Don't leave it in the comments. I don't want to hear it. I know there's a lot of disappointment. I can just feel the vibe. Nobody cares. I care. I want to show them, and I will. Tomorrow.
I care, but I do care that the ballers don't come in anymore, so I can get back to my old form and say, let's get it on. But
people who are sincere about being a baller don't want to be shown to be disingenuous and insincere when they're caught out by us. So the genuine ballers don't want to come, because what's going to happen when I demonstrate that they are utilising a flat plane? They'll lose their minds, yeah? Just go and look at Toon screaming my name into the snow. That's the net result of being told that you're measuring a flat Earth. They don't want that. None of them want that, Neil. The only people who will come here are the wankers.
You're not deflecting to measurements, are you now, Nathan?
He tried to deflect to measurements. What, your measurements of an Earth that's flat, Toon? Yeah, I did, didn't I?
He took those same measurements to Brian, too, and held them up right there on camera.
Yeah, waving them in Brian's face as Brian says, yeah, you've got flat Earth measurements on there. They're angles. You measured a flat Earth. By their own standards at TFE, right, they scientifically validated Earth to be a flat plane because I predicted that they'd go down there and measure it flat, and they absolutely came back and confirmed my prediction. Now, that isn't science, but it's their standard of crappy science. So by their own crappy standard of what they call science, which it isn't, Earth was demonstrably scientifically validated to be flat. I say tongue-in-cheek. Met my prediction. 100 people watching. Woohoo! Please share the show if you've not done so already. Very warm welcome to all of you who've joined the show. There's a good chance the only reason we've got 100 people watching is because people in the live stream chat have actually shared the show. So thank you very much for sharing the show. If you've not done so already, please share the show. It's only 2 clicks, and you can stick it on your favourite outlet, Bebo, MySpace, whatever it is you use, it'll be in that list. So click on the share button, click, click, click. Hopefully we'll dig out something else to cover tomorrow. I didn't think that video from Adam would be as short as it was. It was only 3 or 4 minutes long with Musser on it. We had very little to get our teeth in case anybody's wondering why I'm rambling on a little bit about how many people are watching towards the end of this live stream. There was 2 things that didn't happen. The video wasn't very long and I didn't get the mics that I thought I would. So we were about 50 minutes in and I'm like, what are we going to do now? Talk about the show tomorrow? Hopefully tomorrow we'll have a really good show. Mush will have provided a video. Everyone will be in a good mood. Are we doing the book tonight, Neil? We are, aren't we? I'm sure Adam said Wednesday.
I hope so.
Book's creeping ever closer. That'll be an actual turning point, won't it? When things start actually happening that are new, like new visits to new places to promote the book. Whereas for the now, it's kind of everything's kind of, I don't want to say stale, but there's a stale something about now till the book's done because it's so close to the end. I could just hear, no, it's not. It's going to be another 20 years.
No, it's not. It's not. Within the next 3 or 4 months, I'd say.
3 or 4 months? Get lost. Oh, shut up, Neil. You're just trying to piss me off, aren't you?
It's coming. Once it gets in Flatsy's hands to do all the grammatical things, that book is going to hit. And let me tell you something. It's going to change the face of flat earth debate.
Did any of the racial stuff that we talked about yesterday get onto the recording, or was that after I finished?
I'm not sure.
I think it was after you finished.
Oh, what a shame.
That was after.
Oh, that's a shame. Oh, well. Well, we can't recreate that magic again. Hey ho. We'll see how today's after show goes. How are you, Eli?
Pretty good. What's up, guys?
Sky. Obviously. Yeah, it's just disappointment. I was expecting the postman to come in and he didn't. So I'm slightly sad. On the upside, Russian manufacturer contacted me via email this morning to say I might get a loaner mic. So happy days. See how that goes.
That's good.
Yeah, I can see you're all very excited.
I kind of just woke up.
Are you going to dig us out something for tomorrow, Mush? Something to cover? Got a reputation now.
Nathan, I can try, bro, but I don't want to go into any details right now. But like, it's really stressful time in my life right now, with as far as some family members, and I'm trying to be here for them. And like I said, I don't want to go into details, but it's really bad. Yeah.
Fair enough. I'm sorry to hear
so
that.
Not even. I shouldn't even. Yeah, thank you, bro. I shouldn't even be on Discord, but yeah.
Fair enough.
Doing things signed in, listen. Yeah.
I'll try not to lean on you then in that case. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Any help you need?
Hope it gets better, brother.
Yeah, indeed.
No, man. I appreciate you guys. No, it's just crazy shit. I mean, I can talk about it, but I'm not taking time right now.
No, fair enough.
On the show, it's just horrible things. Yeah, man. Thank you, guys.
No worries. Shout out to Vidali. He says, I've tried talking to Robert before. He's not willing to listen. He's just waiting for his turn to talk. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Thank you for the super chat.
Who's Robert?
A guy I banned. I want to make an example of what's going on at the moment because it's the 3rd time it's happened in the space of 2 or 3 days.
The dead man.
Yeah, I just perma-banned him.
Don't want to
deal with
fellow
that.
Islander from yesterday. That's what you're talking about?
You can't perma ban me, Nathan. I can get in on any name, you know. I'm not him.
I know
I'm
you're
not
not.
him.
No, I know when somebody's putting on a terrible Jamaican accent. No, it's just been held up as an example. It's like, no, get lost. If you're going to behave like that, don't bother coming. You'll just get permabanned immediately. Because what's the point? My purpose in here is to appeal to the audience. Now, if you're going to selfishly mess around, which is all that is, it's just messing around, then you're depriving an entire audience of the information. Now, there's 100-odd people who want to listen to this. Now, if you just want to ignore it and make it difficult to listen to, then you're not of benefit to this show. Like Rumpus, right? They reached a point where Rumpus stopped being useful. It's like, well, what's the point? If I can't put my hand on my heart and say, I am actually an educational channel. If you look at the bottom of this video in terms of how I've categorised it, it's categorised as education. Now, people say, oh, we really like listening to Rumpus. It was really amusing. It was entertaining. No, I don't care. It stopped being educational at the point that we do have a geometric horizon. Well, we don't have a geometric horizon. It's only in the maths. We do have a geometric horizon. No. You no longer have any place here at this table. Go away. You're not going to help the audience. You're going to confuse them. That's not fair. So, yeah. These people live in La La Land. They want to fantasize about being on a ball in our presence. And there's a certain type that don't come here anymore, anti-flat earthers, that just need us to be part of the consensus and would rather we just disappeared, in some case died. Yeah, that's how strongly they feel about it. They're not interested in correcting us because they know damn well what will happen if they try to. We'll be correcting them and showing them how they use a flat earth. Now, that's a fate worse than death to them. So they're just not going to come. But the people who are impervious to that, they don't care. Oh, they're indifferent to the being on a ball bit, but they know it winds us up when we're trying to educate an audience on how Earth is measured flat to hear how ball-shaped it's assumed to be by them. Go on, plain decoded, unless you just got a phone call and have been pushed off mute by the server.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
That'll be a yes.
I didn't know it does that.
Yeah, it does. When people get phone calls, it knocks them off mute in the server. It's like they want you to be hot micing. You're having a row with your wife.
No, she actually was calling me about some yoga. I actually have some questions for you later, but I'm a little bit busy
That was
right
just a guess. I didn't actually hear the conversation. It was just a pure guess. Yoga. Okay, fair enough. My wife and I, it's normally pizza admin. Got the oven on? Did you get the pizza? Go on then, what's your question? We will never know. Oh,
He
what
said
a shame.
he wanted to ask you a question, but he can't get to it now, I think.
Oh, I missed that bit. I rumpused him. Fair enough, we might find out in the after show. So yeah, you can all wait with bated breath for another 24 hours to see my new microphones.
I was going to ask, in the UK, is that how it works? Does it work the same way with a car? Can you call a dealership and say, hey, can I use the car for a day?
No, it normally only works that way with something that's, what's the word? Like the opposite of something consumable. That's what's the word? Like luxury items, luxury goods. Yeah. So back when I sold electronics, the cheapest box we had was like £2,000. So if you want somebody to buy a £10,000 piece of equipment, there's a good chance that you're going to be willing to lend it to them, because no matter who you are, it doesn't matter if you're a big expensive studio and you've got perceivably to me a lot of money, that guy doesn't want to spend 10 grand on anything, so you've got to actually convince them. So the best way to do that is to lend somebody something. Well, in the case of a microphone, you're talking about something that's a few inches in size and costs several £100s. In other words, it's relatively easy to ship around. And there's a good chance that the person who wants to buy that item wants to buy it. They're just hesitant. And therefore, when they get it and go, oh, yeah, it's really nice, But it's a luxury item, right? In other words, it's really easy to just say, actually, I don't need that item, so I'll move on with my day. So keeping in touch with a customer that's shown an interest and lending it them, there's a good chance that'll turn into a sale. That's how I used to operate, at least. In fact, the whole part of being a rep was mostly doing that. You're going out and saying, of course you need our product. This is what it's like. And you link it all together, make it sound glorious, and hope a customer walks in and goes, oh my God, that sounds amazing. Where can I buy it? Here, if they become a dealer. You know what I mean? So, yeah, loaning stuff out's not that uncommon with luxury items, which I think you could definitely consider a £600 microphone to be. So some of the ones that I'm getting would be that way, right? So it's crazy because in the scheme of people who talk about microphones, because I've been watching a lot of microphone videos, right? A microphone that cost £150 20 years ago is the equivalent to about 300 quid these days, which if I said a £300 mic to most people, they'd gasp and go, oh my God, that's a lot of money. But to the guy that's doing voiceover work, who uses his favourite U87 AI that costs £3,000 from Neumann, they look at a 300 quid mic and scoff. You're like, well, why? Because it's made in China. Okay, but what difference does it make? It's doing the same thing. So from one perspective, people look down on some of the equipment that I've managed to get for maybe 30 or 40 or 50 quid, right? Because it's only the equivalent of maybe something that costs £300 or £400 today. But I look at it the other way. I'm like, to my audience, when you look at some of these things that I'll put on screen tomorrow, hopefully, fingers crossed, these things cost several £100s. The fact that I maybe only paid 50 quid for it is irrelevant. It's like if you bought a modern equivalent of these things that I'll show you that are all shiny, you'd be spending maybe £400 or £500 on them. Like I'm intending to do if I do buy a new one. But it might be the case that I don't actually have to, that I end up with a second-hand one that actually satisfies my needs. I doubt it, but you can hope. But yeah, so I'll show you these shiny things that somebody, not me, at some point, I remember bartering with the guy over the one that I'm quite excited that might actually serve my purpose. And he was saying, I paid 280 quid for that. I'm like, yeah, you did 10 years ago. So what? I don't care. I want it for cheap. I want to pay you next to nothing. I want to play with it. So I don't want to pay £300 or £400 for it. No, thank you. But I'll pay you 50 quid. Anyway, so yeah, there'll be new shiny things that at some point cost somebody lots and lots of money and potentially might lead me in the direction of actually spending several £100s myself on something for the show. So it's all intriguing to me. If you're interested in it, then you'll be fascinated and on the edge of your seat like I am. If you're not, you'll be tuning out. But I'll try and keep it brief. I'll put it on camera for a few moments on the live show tomorrow if it does actually arrive, give you a brief explanation of what it does, and hopefully you'll hear a difference because it's at the other end of the extremes in terms of microphones. I'm done. I'll say no more on the subject. Shout out to Vlad on 0 Degrees. Can't wait to hear about that mic, lol. Why is it that I can detect sarcasm even in a super chat? It's a gift, I'm telling you. Thank you for the super chat though, Vlad. Really appreciate the support. Mush. Right, any more before we round out and ask everyone to stay tuned for the after show? We got there in the end, even without what I thought we would be doing today. No other comments? Okie dokie. With that, I'll say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels, and to you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, hitting the super chat, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.